Semi-final is Jason Elliott, at 18 already an experienced campaigner.
I had race karts before when I started karting at 13, yeah, and also I was testing a Formula 4 before I had a road licence when I was 16.
So how long after your 17th birthday did you have a motor race?
It was about 2 weeks after.
All Formula Ford engines are meant to be the same, but this one, with a patch over a hole in the block, has a reputation. This year it's powering Mark Blundell.
The engine's been about for a very long time, and supposedly it was a good engine, and on one Sunday it blew up, and the engine builders were not prepared to let it go, so they did try and patch it up, hence the name Patch. And it is a very good engine, yeah, one of the top engines without a doubt.
In fact, it's won the Formula Ford Festival 4 times in the last 5 years, I think.
That is correct, yeah.
So you're hoping to make it 5 times in 6 years here?
I'm looking for a good race, and I hope to be on the rostrum anyway, yeah.
Well, Patch has helped Mark to pole position for the second semi-final. With Tim Jones on the outside of the front row, both of them in Van Diemen's, and in the middle, the smart yellow laser of Peter Rogers, who's been going well despite losing his sponsor mid-season. Jason Elliott is on row 2, with borrowed bodywork after an earlier incident. And in the car alongside is a helmet whose colours are familiar to generations of racegoers. It's Damon Hill, son of the late Graham Hill.
Well, it's coming on, isn't it?
From his position on the second row, Damon has a difficult task ahead. And the front row moving away absolutely as one, but it's Tim Jones on the outside who makes the best start, and Blundell gets pushed to one side by Peter Rogers. Blundell down to 3rd place. Jones leads up the hill from Rogers and Blundell. 26 Formula Ford cars, Blundell trying to move up on the outside, and a great pile-up, several cars off. I can see Lindoro da Silva, the Brazilian, in there, Boven Siepen of Germany, Rick Shortall's also gone off, so has Tom Brown, Jeremy Packer, Phil Andrews. I think there are 7 cars in all involved in that first lap shunt. As before, the marshals are there, moving into action to get the track cleared because the race goes on. The survivors are already on the top straight to complete their first lap, and that's the Aberdonian Tom Brown, his car effectively halted by the Druids gravel. At the front, it's Tim Jones from Peter Rogers and Mark Blundell. Tim Jones, son of the Brands Hatch commentator and a man who really knows his way around this circuit, leads at Druids for the second time from Peter Rogers in the laser, and Mark Blundell is 3rd, ahead of Damon Hill, who is 4th.
Well, once again, the tremendous, typical Brands Hatch start from the outside of the front row, pulling across, paid off for Tim Jones. It's the favoured position for most drivers, pole position being down in the dip. And Tim Jones, again, squeezed the inside front row men together, but luckily this time they all got away. But there in the background, someone's had a tap. He's broken the front wheel suspension. I think that's Mark Peters. Mark Peters it is. Someone who's come back to Formula Ford for this festival, but sadly for him it's ended in retirement.
So up past the wreckage at Druids, in front it's still Tim Jones, but those 3 leaders absolutely tied together. Peter Rogers in the yellow car, the laser is in the middle of the sandwich, Mark Blundell keeping the pressure on, and behind this trio, Damon Hill is in 4th place. Wearing, of course, the helmet colours that Graham Hill, his famous father, made so familiar. Damon Hill in 4th place, a man who's really improved in Formula 4 this year, but I think he's disappointed to be behind that leading trio because that's where all the action is. Peter Rogers pulls wide, Blundell weaving from side to side, but the order doesn't change as Tim Jones still leads the 3 cars down the hill from Paddock Bend. Rogers now having a look at the inside. The wreckage has all been moved away by the marshals. The race goes on, and Blundell tries that wide outside line. It doesn't do him any good. Blundell still in his 2nd season of racing with 34 wins already in his short career. He's only 19 years old.
Well, this is going to be real action now. Tim Jones knows this track better than anyone, probably. He's a racing driver's instructor here. and he's a very hard man to get by. And Tim, without being illegal or blocking rudely or being dangerous, he's going to use every inch of the track to his advantage. It's going to be very difficult. Rogers there having a look down the inside, and Rogers has always got the problem that Blundell will dive inside him if Rogers tries to go on the outside. There, Blundell teeing him up for the manoeuvre up to Druids, but Rogers closes in. Tim Jones hugs the inside. Real classical Formula Fords at Brands.
And it has now become a four-car battle, because Damon Hill in the red car at the back of the quartet has indeed closed right up. Blundell in third place, the blue car, and now Rogers tries the outside line as they go into Surtees, but that's not going to do him any good, and in fact that almost allows Blundell to get inside him. And Rogers' manoeuvre there has lost him quite a bit of ground and has allowed Tim Jones to pull away just a little bit from the pursuit. Jones with 4 or 5 lengths clear, he's able to take a much tidier line round Paddock Bend. Rogers in second place, holding off Blundell, who's still third, and Damon Hill hanging on to the back of the quartet. Down the hill once more. Brands Hatch circuit where you can never ever relax. But almost all these Formula Ford drivers admit to liking it very much. Tim Jones, who teaches here, knows his way around it better than most. And Rogers has made up that couple of lengths that he lost as they come out of Clearways now for the 6th time out of 15. Right in the slipstream, Rogers pulls out. Blundell tries even wider, almost 3 abreast down into Paddock. And still, it's the man on the inside who holds the lead. That's Tim Jones. Now Rogers looks at the outside, and that's allowed Blundell to have a look at his inside. Blundell dropping back a little bit now, and Rogers right up with Tim Jones once more. Rogers taking the wide line because that could make him close for Clearways. But Jones can keep that door shut just as long as he wants to.
It's a tremendous battle up front in this semi-final. These 4 locked together in the background. Another equally fraught battle going on for 5th place as Rogers looks to the inside again, but Jones will probably close the door as he does. Behind, Alan McGarity, the best really of the overseas competitors from Ireland, is leading a frantic dice. We see there 3 abreast coming up to Druids, and Jason Elliott now has come to the fore of that bundle. McGarity in fact been pushed down to 6th by John Booth, but McGarity had been leading this bunch, but Jason Elliott now has got to the head, and he could well also close on the 4 ahead of him.
So Elliott leading that little group, but here at the front, Jones under the strongest possible pressure, almost literal pressure from Peter Rogers, with the sharp pointed nose of that laser tucked under the flat bodywork of the Van Diemen in front of him. One side he feints, then he tries to get up through the inside, then he tries the right again. And all this while Blundell going even wider, just in case there's a chance right out there. And once more, Damon Hill has been dropped again. Damon was complaining in the quarter-final that his car was lacking the power that he hoped that it should have. And so Damon Hill, while he's got a clear run in that he hasn't got to keep the door shut for anybody behind him, is having difficulty staying with that leading trio. Hill clipping the apex there and going wide, full opposite lock briefly with the Ryco Van Diemen, and now look at Blundell trying to go very wide as they come out of Clearways onto the top straight once more, and Rogers can't decide which side to go. He tries the left, he tries the right is kept firmly shut by Tim Jones. But then he's going very tight as they go up the hill because Jones made a little mistake there. Jones tries to move across on him, but it's too late. He's done it. And how they all got round Druids that time, I will never know, but it's up at the front, it's Damon Hill. An incredible opportunity snatched by Damon Hill.
So here again we see the manoeuvre of Peter Rogers, a beautiful manoeuvre which in fact was to benefit Damon Hill here in 4th place more than himself. He pulled inside Tim Jones going through paddock, stopping Jones, shutting the door as he had done coming up to Druids, and here Rogers is on the inside, but Tim still tries to hang on. Blundell thinks about breaking them both on the outside, so here when Rogers, who left his braking so late, pushes Jones wide, Jones pushes Blundell wide, and Damon says, "Thank you very much, chaps."
Rogers still in 2nd place, but it's now a red Van Diemen instead of a black one. And look at Damon sawing away at the steering wheel, going from positive to opposite lock to keep his Van Diemen straight. And he still has the lead as they come down to complete their 11th lap of the 15. And Rogers goes through on the inside, a superb manoeuvre, but then he almost loses it coming out. He dived down the inside of Hill and then almost got the car completely sideways, and as a result of that, Hill goes back in front again under braking for Druids. A fantastic battle, this. Classic Formula Ford racing, and Damon Hill loses the lead at paddock, gets it back again at Druids, and they're now going down the Cooper Straight, and Peter Rogers has got to do it all over again.
Well, once again there, Rogers, a fantastic manoeuvre. Blundell in the background still trying to get by Tim Jones. But Rogers, again, another beautiful overtaking manoeuvre. This time he did just slide a little bit wide, and Damon Hill was able to come back at him up the inside for Druids. So Rogers, who did that same manoeuvre to Hill in the quarter-final when Rogers beat Hill, now he's got to think again and try and close the gap. Blundell and Jones a little bit on their own. They're going to have a private dice for 3rd place in these last 3 laps. Blundell weaving everywhere, but it looks like a disastrous semi-final for Mark Blundell, probably the favourite at this stage in the competition, but now he's going to be back on the grid for the final.
Well, Damon Hill retains this lead still as they go along Cooper Straight for the 13th time out of 15, clipping those curbs, bouncing wheels. Rogers hanging back a little bit as they go into clearways, because now it is that he wants to get a run on the Van Diemen. He seems to be quicker in a straight line. Then the battle behind with Tim Jones still just holding off Mark Blundell, and Blundell pulls out. Once tries the right, once tries the left, he can't do it, and the lead battle still the same through Paddock Bend. Still Blundell down in 4th place. And Damon with about 2 lengths clear now of Peter Rogers as they go up to Surtees. Damon Hill glances in his mirrors, he understeers the Van Diemen across the apex. Damon Hill from Peter Rogers.
So now 1 lap to go. Damon Hill still holding that slight lead over Peter Rogers. In the background, Tim Jones still holding Blundell for 3rd. 2 superb dices, and closing behind, in fact, is Alan McGarity. A similar close dice for 5th place. It's John Booth now up to 5th ahead of Alan McGarity. Sadly, we lost Jason Elliott a couple of laps ago with a sudden mechanical failure. So the young teenager out of this festival, which he promised so much. But Hill now looks clear to win the semi-final. A lucky win in a way, with the 3 leaders letting him through. But it's going to be Damon Hill on the front row for the final.
Yes, indeed, out of clearways now for the final time, and Damon Hill glances in his mirrors, but all is well. There's nothing that Rogers can do about it. They cross the finish line with Damon Hill making a triumphant wave. Blundell has his last effort to pass Tim Jones, but only does it after they've crossed the finish line. So the winner, Damon Hill, 2nd, Peter Rogers, Tim Jones is 3rd, ahead of Mark Blundell.
It's a popular victory with the crowd and another win for that famous name. But from the start, Damon Hill has had to get used to the glare of publicity.
In fact, my first race was incredible down here at Brands Hatch a couple of years ago. It was on the news and it was on everything. It was so much publicity. I got in my car and there was cameras. I mean, I'm sure Alan Prost, can tell you about what that's like. But for someone just starting in their first ever car race, it was pretty daunting.
At what stage during your childhood did you think that you wanted to go motor racing?
Well, initially I was never interested in car racing because I think I had a sort of car racing overkill, if you like. I was always around British Grand Prix and stuff, and I really never thought about taking it up myself. Everyone always asked me, but I always wanted to ride a bike, race bikes, and that's initially what I started doing with some success. And it's really sort of a wish to get on that I thought I couldn't make a living on bike racing, so I thought I'd have a go at car racing, and it's really surprised me, in fact, how well I've got on in cars compared to the bikes, but I'm really enjoying it now.